Let's go Ravens! Something big is happening behind the scenes in Baltimore, and if this change actually happens, it could completely alter the team's course faster than anyone imagines. This isn't just another rumor, it's the kind of situation that can separate a good team from a true title contender. But before we get into the details, be sure to like this post right now if you truly believe this team is heading in the right direction. And I want to know your opinion. Leave a comment below saying, I trust this team, we will come back stronger. Now let's get straight into it, because this is where things get serious. There are growing reports that the Ravens could be in position to make a move for defensive tackle DJ Reer after the draft, and this isn't just another rumor floating around for no reason. According to what's being discussed, multiple teams are interested, but Baltimore is right there in the mix. And when you connect the dots with everything we've seen this offseason, it starts to make a lot of sense. Think about where this team struggled last season. It wasn't just one area, it was the trenches on both sides of the ball. Offensively, protection issues made life harder than it should have been, especially for Lamar Jackson, who took more hits than anyone wants to see. Defensively, it was even more frustrating. Quarterbacks had way too much time in the pocket. There was no consistent pressure, and that ended up exposing the secondary over and over again. So what have the Ravens done? They've started addressing it. On offense, they brought in players like John Simpson, Danny Pinter, and Javon Gwynn, guys who may not be flashy names, but they bring versatility and depth. On defense, the biggest shift might actually be the coaching changes, with Jesse Minter stepping in as head coach and Anthony Weaver taking over as defensive coordinator. That alone signals a major commitment to fixing what went wrong. But here's where DJ Reer becomes extremely interesting. He's not the type of player who's going to rack up huge sack numbers or dominate the stat sheet. That's not his role. What he does is something this defense desperately needs. He eats space. He occupies offensive linemen, clogs running lanes, and most importantly, frees up everyone else to make plays. And when you look at the current situation on the defensive line, there are a lot of question marks. Travis Jones is solid, but beyond that, uncertainty is everywhere. There's still no clarity on Nnamdi Madubuike's situation, especially after dealing with a serious neck injury that kept him out for most of last season. Even if he returns, there's no guarantee of long-term stability, and with injuries like that, you simply cannot rely on assumptions. That's exactly why a move like this would be so impactful. Reer would immediately bring stability to the interior. He would make life easier for guys like Travis Jones, and even help players behind the line, including Roquan Smith, who hasn't looked like himself over the past couple of seasons. A stronger defensive front changes everything. It improves linebacker play, and it gives the secondary a fighting chance by reducing the time quarterbacks have to throw. Now, there's one complication here. The Ravens may be waiting until after the draft to make a move, possibly to protect their compensatory pick formula. That's something this organization values heavily. But at the same time, waiting comes with risk. If you hesitate too long, another team could step in and take a player who could have made an immediate difference for you. And that's really what this comes down to. Do you prioritize future draft capital, or do you go all in on improving a clear weakness right now with a proven veteran who fits exactly what you need? Because if you look at this roster honestly, defensive tackle is still a position filled with uncertainty. Between injuries, potential roster cuts, and unproven players, this is not a group you can feel completely confident about heading into a season where the expectations are high. And this is where everything ties together in a way that could define the Ravens' entire season before it even begins. Because when you look at the situation from top to bottom, this isn't just about adding another defensive tackle, it's about protecting yourself from uncertainty. The Ravens are currently in a position where too many key pieces along the defensive front come with question marks. You've got talent, no doubt, but you don't have guarantees. And in the NFL, especially in a conference as competitive as the AFC, that can cost you everything. Think about the ripple effect again. If the Ravens go into the season without making this move, they are essentially betting on multiple things going right at the same time. They're betting on players staying healthy, on young guys developing quickly, and on the new coaching system immediately fixing issues that have been lingering. That's a lot to ask, even for a well-run organization. Now flip it the other way. If they bring in DJ Reer, you immediately reduce the number of ifs on this defense. You stabilize the interior. You give your linebackers cleaner lanes. You help your edge rushers get more favorable matchups. And maybe most importantly, you take pressure off the secondary, which has struggled heavily in recent seasons. And let's not overlook the mental side of this either. When a team makes a move like this, it sends a message, not just to the fans, but to the locker room. It tells everyone that management sees the same issues they do and is willing to act on them. That kind of confidence can elevate an entire unit before a single snap is even played. At the same time, the hesitation still lingers. The compensatory pick formula is real, and it matters. The Ravens have built part of their long-term success on being disciplined in situations exactly like this. So you can understand why they might be cautious. But there's always a balance between planning for the future and maximizing the present. And right now, the present is calling for action. Because if this team truly believes it can compete for a Super Bowl, then moves like this aren't optional, they're necessary. You don't leave obvious weaknesses unaddressed and hope everything works out. You attack them head on. So as everything unfolds, all eyes are going to be on what the Ravens decide to do after the draft. Will they stay patient and stick to their usual strategy, or will they take that aggressive step and lock in a player who could quietly transform this entire defense? And here's the part that Ravens fans really need to lock in on, because this decision won't just affect week 1, it could shape how this team performs deep into the postseason. When you build a defense, especially one that's expected to compete at a high level, it always starts in the trenches. That's not just a cliche, it's reality. The teams that consistently win in January are the ones that can control the line of scrimmage, disrupt timing, and force offenses out of their comfort zone. And right now, the Ravens are still trying to reestablish that identity. What makes this situation even more interesting is how clearly the need has already been identified. This isn't something fans are guessing about. Everyone saw it last season. The inability to generate pressure, the secondary being exposed, the inconsistency up front, it was all there, week after week. So when an opportunity like this comes along, it's not just about adding talent. It's about correcting a known weakness with a player who fits the exact role you're missing. And let's talk about timing again, because this is critical. Waiting until after the draft might make sense on paper, but football decisions aren't made on paper alone. They're made based on urgency, competition, and opportunity. If another team steps in and signs DJ Reer before the Ravens make their move, then what? You're back to relying on uncertainty, back to hoping things work out instead of ensuring they do. That's the risk. And Ravens fans know this team doesn't usually operate out of desperation, but this isn't desperation. This is calculated aggression. This is recognizing a window and doing what's necessary to maximize it. Because make no mistake, the Ravens still have a core capable of competing. There's talent on both sides of the ball. There's belief in the new coaching direction. But belief alone doesn't win games, execution does. And execution becomes a lot easier when you have the right pieces in place. Adding a player like Reer isn't about headlines. It's about impact. It's about making life easier for everyone else on the field. It's about turning weaknesses into strengths without needing everything else to be perfect. And that's what makes this such a defining moment. If the Ravens pull the trigger, they're reinforcing their identity, backing up their offseason message, and giving this defense a real chance to take a step forward. If they don't, then they're betting on things breaking their way. And in the NFL, that's never a safe bet. So now it really comes down to this final thought for all of you. Are the Ravens ready to be aggressive and take control of their season right now?